coming and taking a tour of my treehouse studio. It's almost finished. There's a few things to do, some trim, a new door, paint outside, of course the new roof after the hailstorm, and then my new set of stairs. This is to kind of give you a more in-depth look at how I've used my space. All of these baskets I've had for years and years and years, and since temperatures don't bother the punches at all, I brought all of those up here. So I've got the 2 wire baskets full of the smaller punches, and I've got the one on top, and then that one's full of punches. That's punches. And then the bottom basket is my dry watercolors and watercolor pencils and my dry chalks that I use in a lot of my projects. Up on top, using every bit of spaces I've got flowers that I use in books, some candles, and some storage boxes up there with pencils and charcoals and all sorts of drawing things. I've got my bamboo tubes with some of my brushes, not all of them. I've had those for years and years too. Don't even remember where they came from. The little bird I picked up on a 70% off at Kohl's, and I got the little plaque, Believe in Yourself, at Kohl's as well. And then I picked up the rack where I normally hang my apron, and my little mule bag that I use carrying things up here and down. I got that at I want to say junk store, but I can't tell you. I've had it for a long, long time. I just didn't know what I was going to do with it until the treehouse came along. And then we've got my fabric ladder. And I knew I was going to have a lot of fabric up here. Not quite sure how I was going to store it until Dean came up with the idea of the ladder. Now I use the fabric making butterflies, but mostly for book covers. I use a product called Stiff It, and it goes on white, but it dries clear, and it's better than varnish. No fingerprints, no smudges, and it's really pliable. So every time Joann Fabrics has 50-60% off fabric sale, I run over there and get little pieces of this and that. And this is just such a small portion of what I've got. Well, it catches almost everything that needs a place to sit. I got the little cube boxes at Walmart. They were originally $29, and they had them on clearance for $6 a piece. So I grabbed them. More of my paint brushes and my embosser and my bind it all. And got little jars with buttons and flowers, and that little white basket will have my embossing powders. Jars make a great way of storing things. Here you can see some more buttons. That little jar in front, that was part of a Ziploc bag that my sweet Aunt Violet gave me years and years and years ago. And I can't help but wonder if all of those buttons aren't blouse buttons or shirt buttons or... Anyway, I use them when I can, but I'll never use them all up. And then, of course, I've got more buttons there, lace, lots of ribbon, but nowhere near the stash of ribbon that I actually have. I put this ribbon up here because I'm going to be working next on baby books. So all of that is baby colors and things that will go with the books. I'll rotate things out of the treehouse studio back into my storage room as I change projects. And then here's a little jar of little rosettes that I made for baby books. All they take is 12 inches of lace, and you just do a running stitch and gather it up, and there you go. Put a little bow or a button, flower in the center, and it's set to go. Then underneath here, oh, that's one of my prizes. I watched this thing for a year and a half. I found it at Tuesday Mornings. Originally it was $180. It's a cutter. It cuts cardboard, chipboard, balsa wood. I really haven't found anything that it won't cut. But I couldn't afford to pay that much for it, so I watched it. I also took my thumbnail and I made a slight indentation on the price tag to know that that was the same one. I came back and it had dropped to $135, and a year and a half later, same box, and it was $69. And I asked the store manager, I says, how much longer are you going to be hanging on to this? And she says, well, it's been here as long as I have. I'm tired of moving it around. I says, well, I've been watching it for a year and a half, and I showed her my little mark on it. I said, I'll give you $25 just to haul it off. And she says, take it. I'm tired of moving it. So, anyway, that's my Zutter cutter, and boy, has it saved me a lot of hours and hours of cutting. Because with 2 swipes, 2 passes, earlier you saw a picture of the little curtains pulled back on my cabinet here. All this is a wooden box that my husband built, and it's open inside. I can put 3 stacks of the 13 by 13 paper box keepers in there, so the paper gets swapped out, rotated, depending on the project I'm working on. And then this table, you saw in another picture how I used that to extend my working space. And yes, it's got a skirt on it too. This was a metal office trash can on wheels that my husband dug out of a dumpster somewhere and brought it home, and I said, I want that. He goes, what for? I says, I don't know yet, but I'll figure it out. So when I started working up here on creating the studio, I used it with a big piece of plywood as a work table, and it worked just fine. So when I got closer to finishing the studio, I took it out with a wire brush, brushed it all off, and then sprayed it white with some Rust-Oleum, and it worked just perfect. So it moves around with ease. Inside I've got storage for projects that I've got started, haven't finished yet, but that makes a nice place to keep them. They're out of the way. All I do is lift off the top. I wanted to talk about that little wall unit that I have there. Originally it was a real ugly blue. I found it at Goodwill. It was 50% off that day, so I got it for $2.50. Come home, sanded it up a bit, painted it, and it's perfect for storage. The little flower containers that you see, I got those at Kohl's on clearance. They were getting rid of all the summer things, and I think I paid $4 a piece for those. The little lady and the girl, now that's one of my treasures, and I don't think Goodwill knew what they had. That's a piece of willow tree art, and I got it for $4 on one of the half-price days. So now for my chair. That was a real good buy too. My husband found it at Goodwill on a 99-cent day. So it just automatically came up here as a third seat. So the grandkids and I can all play together. And as for the cat, he doesn't move around much, or at least until I put batteries in him. No, he's not real. My desk, you saw in an earlier photo how the front of it folds up and the little rolling table goes up underneath it. And then I have storage shelves under that. That's attached to the wall, so it is not movable. And then on one side I have my cutting mat hanging. On the other side I've got my steel ruler. I love my Ott light. I can't say enough about these lights. They are perfect for a crafter, a painter, a sewer. You've got true light there, and that makes all the difference in the world. For the fabric, my goodness, I found this over at Joann Fabrics, bought all they had and thought I had enough. Turned out I didn't, because I didn't take into account that I wanted to make the skirt for the cabinet. So they hunted and found more fabric in Omaha, Nebraska, and had it sent in for me. It was woven in India. I don't know if you can see, but it is embroidered with these just teeny little flowers and flourishes, and I just love it to death. I couldn't have picked anything better. Over in this corner, I don't know if you can see this. Now, that's better. On the bottom shelf, that is my MP3 player and my Gold Zero Rock Out speakers, and boy, do they put out some sound. When I don't want to listen to music and I just want to sit up here and think, I have my wind chimes, and I don't even need wind for these. There's a little fan in the bottom, and it runs on batteries, and it sounds so nice and soothing. So I like to come up here at night and turn my wind chimes on and listen to them. Let's see. My little sitting bench. I got the cushions. They were on clearance over at Lowe's. And the bottom one I think I got for $8, and the cushions were maybe $4 a piece. I had to cut the bottom pad down because it was too wide. After all the years my husband and I have been married, he did not realize my legs are so short that my feet do not touch the floor when I'm sitting in a standard chair. So I had him custom make this to where I can sit with my feet on the floor. Underneath, I've got storage. The green tub holds some paper, cardstock, just things that I need for projects. And under that is a basket, and that's got all my tools in it. And yeah, you use tools when you're working on paper projects. You'd be surprised. But this is my tour of my treehouse studio. It's been a long time coming, but oh, I treasure it, and I'll never be able to thank my husband enough for making this for me, making my dream come true. A little studio all my own. Anyway, thanks for stopping by. Bye.